Dear listeners, this is Mark Mullenax with a bonus episode, an adaptation of a Taoist sermon I recently gave. It's entitled Divine Pronouns for the Ever-Present and starts with a quote by William Kruger from his book, This Tender Land. "God's right here," he wrote, "in the dirt, the rain, the sky, the trees, the apples, the stars, and the cottonwoods. In you and me too. It's all connected, and it's all God, and part of what connects us to this land, this beautiful, tender land. As we walk on this earth, do you, as I often do, just get gobsmacked by this planet's remaining wonders above, below, all around, even within? Recent fall-like weather has had me outside more, focusing on hummingbirds with just the slightest variations in colors and personality. The snake that crawls away as I near it. The flowers that seem to weave and thread a path in the meadow. Even the new yellow jacket nest in the retaining wall. These all bring to mind how our native ancestors around the world have said, in thousands of different languages and ways, that the entire earth is alive, with hints and signals everywhere of original instructions, or as how Christians used to describe how divine revelation is everywhere. That is, God is discoverable or detectable in green things, in flying things, creeping things, even in mineral earth. Psalm 19 portrays a world infused with the divine. The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims a divine handiwork. The divine voice goes out through all the earth. All the earth? Now, there's some disagreement among Christians here, who often say that the divine is amongst certain people at certain times, but hardly in nature anymore. My idea of God's whereabouts and nature when I was a practicing Christian was really expanded once upon a time while reading a story of Jesus we call the parable of the sheep and the goats in the Christian scripture called Matthew chapter 25. There, two kinds of people. First, those oblivious to others in need, like failing to visit someone while hospitalized or imprisoned, overlooking the hungry, the thirsty, or ignoring poorly clothed people. The second kind of person did not ignore, nor did they overlook their ethical duties to visit people in prisons or hospitals, helping food and secure persons and clothing those in need. However, the story makes a shocking revelation. Whether you ignored or helped the people in need, then you ignored or helped God. As that text reads, whenever you fail to do one of these things to someone who is being overlooked or ignored, that was me. You failed to do it to me. And of course, me being the divine person, Jesus. Chew on that a moment. Jesus was saying maybe the only time we can really know, realize, or see the divine is to help those in need. Okay, great, I got that. But let's go a step closer. Can one really go around all day and acknowledge God in human drag? God posing as human, God incognito, that a human being, even the ones who will offset your vote in the next election, are they divine? Those people? God? That wherever a human being is, there's God? That's hard teaching now. Are you serious? 8 billion Jesuses on the planet and counting? Which kind of means there's a lot more at stake in all those religious teachings about not killing. What if when one kills anyone, whether with a gun or by government neglect, one kills the divine body? But wait, there's more. This gets deep, folks. Is our ethical focus or obligation here only about people? What if we altered our ethical compasses so they don't point up, but rather outward in all directions, up, down, sideways, elliptically, and not just today, but in primordial time, future time, deep time? I'm about to enter some theologically risky territory. But if we don't explore this territory, I think human beings' years are numbered. What about anything overlooked or ignored? 'Tis summer's end, and 'tis the season for the overlooked and ignored getting literally under our skin. Mosquitoes, flies, insects that sting, all those things we love to whack, kill, zap, swat. I invite you today to slow down that reflex to diminish their number and inject a little wonder into the unthinking reflex time it takes to engage one's mental and muscle memory to exterminate them. I know, the first memories we may retain regarding such things is being stung, disgust, and I know how easy it is to kill first without reflexive questioning. But with wonder married with curiosity, might we rediscover the child in us that doesn't get scared of these least of ignored things, but regard these strange, but oh so elegant, delicate, and absolutely beautiful creatures alive all around us? Regard them as love letters from some strange places? Like that time when the 4-year-old you hovered over that anthill all day long, or wondered what it's like to be a snake safe in your hole. What if these overlooked and ignored are family and maybe divine, windows into the sacred, sacramental even, the body of God? Yeah. Now I know that some insects are lethal, but humor me, 99% are not. A theologian I read, Paul Tillich, wrote this: "We must abandon the external high and mighty places in which the theistic God has historically been perceived, and replace them with internal depth images of a deity who is not apart from us, but who is the very core and ground of all that is." I invite us to see the entire universe as God's body. That is, there is nowhere, no time, where we are not encountering the holy, the divine, that which is. Be careful how we interpret the world, for it will become exactly like that. If we have a rational God, the world will seem rational. If we perceive a human-shaped God, then we value humans. If, as Christian nationalists do, valorize an American flag-waving God who prefers Christians to any other, well, then that idol is only as good, ethical, and large as those Christians. The beginning of wisdom, announces the Hebrew book of Proverbs, is the fear or respect of God. However, I suggest the truer beginning of wisdom is a slow curiosity of that which creeps, a constant wonder about the wrigglers, a respect for out-of-sight processes, and each overlooked insect or ignored process in every overlooked ecosystem, or anything out of sight, is one more place where God is. Ignore, overlook these, we ignore and overlook the divine. In the slow cooking of our wonder, in the crock pot of our curiosity, we maybe, rethink all we've been told of God. Be careful how we interpret the world, for it will become exactly that. My stories of God grew up in me while the son of a preacher and a preacher's spouse. I had the church cred. I was the one whose shadow fell on the church building doors 4 or 5 times a week, where I internalized stories of a rather contradictory divine personage, and it was a person, who both loved me and yet hated what I was. And it was my earnest spiritual job as an 8-year-old kid to learn to hate myself in ever more sophisticated ways, all in the hope that God sees what a good job I'm doing to hate myself, and thus maybe He would love me just a little bit more. And I hoped, and I tried. But there was no way out of that cul-de-sac of a middle-class God, clothed in Baptist language, whose primary focus was sin, and whose problem He had to solve was death. But this was my only story, an internalized cosmic story of right versus wrong, good versus evil, that governed my psyche and ethics. Be careful how we interpret the world, for it will become exactly that. My story did not include, for example, the other-than-human worlds. I could safely, I was told, ignore the Garden of Eden and focus on the humans in it. I need not wonder or be curious about whether or if the divine was incarnate as an ant, a leaf, or could be learned only by the study of a tree on a warm summer day. The divine lived only in a church building. The rest of the time, I lived in basically a God-bereft and godless universe. My early Christian life was basically a dysfunctional atheism, one scraped pretty darn clean of the divine footprints. Nature was just a fallen place, another one where God was not. So nature could be ignored. The problem was when God was portrayed as personal. I never could get how an invisible, transcendent God could be felt as personal. I remember being told I was loved by a spirit I could not see, taste, touch, hear, smell, or get my mind around. And inside I was going, huh? But outside, I went along and I got along, pretending. You see, when God is portrayed as personal, health and death all come from one source, God. Quite the bipolar God, though, around whom I walked on eggshells. I had this balancing act of a personal God that seemed at one time, one moment loving, and then the next hating or hateful, who both cares for and strikes down, who came in ways and waves that seem so capricious. It all fell apart. 2 seminaries, 3 degrees, ordination, when a couple of years ago my godson died at 21 from a lightning bolt of cancer. Then I knew I had to withdraw from this view of a divine person who, get this weird Stockholm Syndrome logic, a divine person who first required my trust and love, so I could then accept the utter unfairness of my godson's demise as, quote, God's mysterious will, unquote. Long story short, I tried to be an atheist. I really did. Through my study of Taoism, I eventually had to restart a spiritual life with the heresy that if there is a divine, sacred God, it ain't personal. Slowly, ever so slowly, I learned divine signatures are everywhere, but few of them have human handwriting. And the ways to rediscover the divine at every turn, in the meadow, in every hummingbird, in every process that got the universe here, was through the ritual, the sacred path of wonder. Gratitude for what is. Here's a poem by Chelan Harkin. I no longer pray. I no longer pray. Now I drink dark chocolate and let the moon sing to me. I no longer pray. I let my ancestors dance through my hips at the slightest provocation. I no longer pray. I go to the river and howl my ancient pain into the current. I no longer pray. I ache. I desire. I say yes to my longings. I no longer pray as I was taught, but as the stars crawl onto my lap, like soft animals at night time, and God tucks my hair behind my ears with the gentle fingers of her wind, and a new intimacy is uncovered in everything. Perhaps it's that I'm finally learning how to pray. Same here. I'm in this season of reframing prayer as paying attention, and praise as gratitude. Might we reframe the divine from some high and mighty person to whatever is closest? Prayer, Scripture, Holy Communion is what we do when we love. Walk in the forest, behold the hawk, get curious about a yellow jacket nest. If there's a spiritual trait that may be worth practicing more, it's curiosity. Unhardening our senses, rewiring our preset assumptions, softening views about what or who is the other, letting the old die and turn into compost, to fertilize new and renewed seeds of what ultimate reality just may be. I'm no atheist. There is ultimate reality. By not giving it a name or a gender or a personal shape or personality, I can live in this world better, where the things that happen or do not happen don't have to have some divine purpose, where my godson's death does not have to balance some great eternal plan. But we have work and play to do. We need to start speaking hummingbird languages, learn the accents of fireflies, get gobsmacked over and over by the eons-long processes that got them and us all here, all together, woven intimately in a net of wondrous belonging. The divine writes in sandstone, in the fluidity and fluency of water, in the cadence of a millipede, or the slower rhythm of eons that is taking for the Grand Canyon to finish its work. So what's the divine? It ain't binary. It's not this, not that. It's ambiguous, ambidextrous, amphibious. God is both and, the everything, the everywhere, the altogether, all at once qualities of all that is sacred, which is everything, which is now. God is quantum entanglement, showing up in multiple states simultaneously. A less sexy title for this talk might be Ever Present, Never Twice the Same. The divine doesn't just show up, but is the overlooked, the ignored, the discounted. The only sacraments for this Holy Communion are wonder and curiosity for the everyday miraculous. Once upon a time, we could get away with seeing God most like a human male. I mean, when God is masculine, then are not males gods? I am grateful for my feminist teachers and colleagues for widening and refocusing the divine lens to include the feminine. But do we need to stop there? Can we not? Must we not? For the sake of this baking planet, open wide the door to see all nature, all life, and even the other as alive, as sacred, divine, holy. We must stop seeing God as male only, female only, human only. Let's open the door wide, reset our lenses for the widest macro view to see whatever is least as a sign, a finger pointing towards a brand New Testament every second to the diverse nature of God. I mean this. If you want a New Testament regarding God, just study one tree for the rest of your life. Listen, wrote Alice Walker in The Color Purple. I think it pisses God off if you walk by the color purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. What'd it do when it pissed off? I asked. Oh, it makes something else. People think pleasing God is all God care about, but any fool living in the world can see it always trying to please us back. Yeah, I say. Yeah, she say. It always making little surprises and springing them on us when we least expect. You ever notice that trees do everything to get our attention, except walk? William Shakespeare is right. One touch of nature makes the whole world kin. And so is Will Campbell. 'Fore we was born, we was all kin. When we dead, we'll be kinfolks again. All I'm asking here is, why wait? If we're already kin, that which is ignored, the overlooked, those things that buzz, those things that sting, why wait one day more for this family reunion, this holy communion, this great dance in which everything that thumps, growls, whirls, skips, chirps, crawls, charms is the kingdom and the kindred of God? That's it. Or else I think it's atheism. My Christian ancestors were a long march of millions of men who never did catch on that to walk and talk as men meant they were both hobbled and garbled. The exacting, capricious God of my ancestors is dangerous to this world. They stamped us with a belief in divine justice and then drowned us and drenched us in the waters of culpability and sin, though they called it baptism. I would not wish such torment even on a mosquito. The holy does not work in especially mysterious ways, but just shows up in surprisingly ordinary ways, waiting for our senses to sharpen to see it, hear it, perceive it. Maybe our religious education here needs to be an education of the senses, to see the ordinary as the extraordinary, the familiar as strange, the strange as familiar and familial, the mundane as sacred, the finite as infinite. So what are the divine pronouns? He, she, and it. You and y'all. We and they. Them. Their. Each and every. Sometimes none. Or anybody. Anything. Yours and ours. This. That. These. Those. Whom. Whomever. Which. Whichever. The divine is a what. Whatever. Wherever. Whenever. Whoever. Whatever. My. I was raised on cartoons of God. How shall we educate those in our care as we take honest stock of creation that is ever present and yet never twice the same? At Blackwater Pond, writes the poet Mary Oliver, the tossed waters have settled after a night of rain. I dip my cupped hands. I drink a long time. It tastes like stone, leaves, fire. It falls cold into my body, waking the bones. I hear them deep inside me, whispering, "Oh, what is that beautiful thing that just happened?" The beautiful thing is happening right now, right here, and all the time. It's everywhere, always, yet never twice the same. So why not practice the divine intelligence of trees, the sacred unity of a bee colony, the raw wisdom of our nocturnal neighbors? Can we not open our eyes wider, tune our ears finer to the countless languages this planet still speaks? Have we not been taught to dismiss these languages as irrelevant, forgettable, somehow beneath us? Have we been assured that our ignorance is bliss? The doorway to wisdom is curiosity. May our ancestors, in nature and all nature, past, present, future, guide us, challenge us, celebrate with us as we awaken to the truth. Is all holy or is all dead? Dead to us, dead to our descendants, dead to our imaginations. But we are alive. So let us arise. Let us align with the living nature as our sacred practice. Ever present, never twice the same. That's a hallelujah worth shouting. Now hear this benediction. May the Divine Mother and Holy Father bless you and keep you. May the Holy make its every face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord turn their faces towards you and give you a million gazillion ways of peace.